Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership. And today I want to talk about a subject that I get asked about all the time, about psychometric tests, and I use DISC and I use talent dynamics, but we're going to just let's talk about DISC, but I mean all psychometric tests for recruitment, leadership purposes, team building, and all of those things, because I get asked about it all the time. It's something that I do loads of. And last week, I had two lovely clients contact me about it with different views to start with, and we had some really interesting conversations that I think might help you if you're thinking about, should I be using, for example, DISC in my business with my team and all of those things. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It was a week of contrast because two different approaches to DISC, and I want us to think about why we should use one or the other, what the consequences of different approaches with psychometric tests are, and the benefits of doing it in certain ways. So there you go. That's what we're going to talk about today. So if you're on live, say hello. And if you've got any opinions on psychometric tests, then please do let me know. If you've got any questions, let me know as well. So what's a psychometric test anyway? I mean, that sounds super wordy if you ask me, but what I'm talking about is those behavioral profiles that we do when we're in an organization, we're in a business. They want to understand what's your communication style, what's your behavioral style, how do you show up, and what motivates you. And the reason why we do these things is not because they want to know, just because they fancy knowing all about you and it's like a test to see if you're good enough. That's just not true. And if you want to understand particularly about DISC, I've done lives before, and if you want some more information, then do let me know. But what we're trying to do with these kind of assessments, let's say, is not to test, are you good? Are you a nice person? Are you fabulous, or are you bad? No, what they're trying to understand with these, and the biggest benefit of these, is around understanding the differences between people and the similarities between people, between the way we think, the way we might communicate, and the way that we are motivated and we behave in certain ways. And you might say, well, why should I do that if I can do my job? Of course, putting aside the fact that you can do your job, think about it in terms of flow. If you are the sort of person who's a real detail person, or you're a really outgoing, enthusiastic person, or whichever way you kind of, the things lie for you, then you're going to be in flow the more you get of things the way in which that you find comfortable. Let's say you find it comfortable to have a nice peace and quiet and do things steadily and slowly and with detail and checking things. That means the more you get of that, the more comfortable you're going to feel. Therefore, the more productive you're going to be. Make sense? So when we look at behavioural profiling, there's not a right and a wrong, but there is let's say, well, am I in flow or am I not in flow? Or am I comfortable, am I not comfortable? And when you think about it, if you've got somebody who's different from you, then if you communicate with them in your flow, then it may not be the same as their flow, which means they may not be comfortable, and they may think, oh, I'm finding that hard to understand, or I'm finding it hard to work with Julie or Bob or whoever. And therefore, the more you understand the ways, or the different ways that people show up, and the different ways they like to communicate, and the different ways that they behave and think and look at things from different perspectives, then the more you're going to understand them, the more you can accommodate and adapt to be able to communicate better with lots of different types of people. And all behavioural profiling does, really, well, not all, but one of the big things it does is it helps you to perhaps not box people in, but it helps you to have a language to use that enables everybody in a team to be able to kind of get it. Yeah, rather than just like, oh, I think you're being very communicative today, or whatever it might be. You can, for want of a better word, you can label a type of behavior perhaps, or understand it to a point where you can then think, oh, I need to adapt to this, or I need to communicate differently, or I need to think about things in a different way for this person. And therefore, you're going to get better results if you do that, because you're more empathetic, you're more understanding, and therefore you can adapt and get what you want because you're helping that person to understand you better, whatever it might be. Hopefully that makes sense. So although it's not the be all and end all, and people use it in recruitment, and we urge you not to employ people on the basis of just a behavioural profile. Please don't do that. But it does help to get a feeling for how you might best communicate and work with certain people, and how people might work with you. So going back to my two companies last week, imagine two different approaches. One company initially said to me, well, we want to profile some people, just for the people that are coming in. So we want to use it as a recruitment tool. We want to understand the types of people that are coming in. And the other company said, we want to do the whole team and the people that we recruit, but we want to do everybody. And when I say do everybody, what I mean by that is is to profile everybody. So what we were talking about was, why should we either profile the whole team, or should we just profile people coming in? And the problem when we just want to profile certain people is that, unfortunately, when we do that, there's no point of reference for those people. And really, what value is it? Because if you think about it, well, if they know what they've got, but that doesn't mean that you know what. My phone's ringing now. It doesn't mean that you know anything about them, or the team, the rest of the team. So you've got no points of reference. You've got no ability for the team to understand each other. So what it becomes is an individualistic understanding of maybe myself, if I'm the person being recruited or the person that's doing the profile. But what it doesn't promote is it doesn't promote the team understanding. And of course, we all know that the more a team understand each other, the more a team can collaborate, the more a team can be productive with each other. And therefore, why would we just want to create an assessment for one or two people in the team? That makes sense. And so the other company said, we want to do the whole team. We want to have a workshop where we talk about this. We actually have a conversation about, what does this mean for us when we see these results and we look at ourselves as a team and as a group of individuals, and the way in which we work together, the way in which we communicate and collaborate. And so the difference is, when you start to do that, and what we generally deliver is a workshop on understanding what's behavioral profiling, what's it all about, what's DISC about. I'm going to select that one today, but what's DISC all about? How does it work? How should I look at it? What's going to be useful for me in my business, and as a team? And then once we understand the concepts and the way it works and the uses for it, then we can say, okay, let's look at us as a team and as a group of individuals, and maybe twos and threes or whatever it might be, and how we interact, how we collaborate. Let's look at the deep dive of our results, as in, this is me, this is you. I mean, in terms of DISC, it would be, if I'm just being generalistic, D, I, S, and C, then we might say, oh, this person is a D, this person is. How would they interact? How would they best work with each other? Or what might put them in flow in my business? Because obviously people in flow are going to be more happy and work much more productively. And so the beauty of actually looking at it from a team perspective and this group of individuals and how they interact is that you're going to be able to use the data and use the information to make really good decisions for the team, but also for the team to understand, be empathetic, and grow together. They'll collaborate more and they'll be more productive. So I would always say that there's really not a lot of point in doing the odd one or two, or just for recruitment. I really believe that you should look at this as a tool for your team to be collaborative and to grow. And when you do that, and you also introduce a way of understanding people that also resolves conflict, it creates bonds, it makes people understand each other better, which means that people don't get annoyed with each other because somebody was like needing more detail. They don't take it personally as much, because they can see where that person's perspective is. They see where that person's coming from. And then they're like, oh, right, okay, that's not about me. It doesn't feel like it's now, aimed at me. It's just the way Bob is, or it's just the way Julie is. And actually, if I accommodate that, then I can see that she's not doing it on purpose, or whatever it might be. And so overall, what you've got is a tool to help you build relationships, be more productive, be more collaborative, achieve more in your business with a very, very simple tool that everyone in your business can understand and apply. And that's an interesting thing, because often, you do trainings and things and people don't apply it. They sit there, I'll do the impression, they listen maybe, and they kind of get it, but they're not really interested. And then they're like, yeah, but it doesn't apply to me. Well, the thing about behavioral profiling is it absolutely applies to them. Everybody, from the cleaner to the admin to the CEO, everybody, because it's how do we all work as that well-oiled machine of collaboration within the organization. And the more you understand it, the more that it will be a well-oiled machine. And so I urge you, if you're ever considering using behavioral assessments, using whether it be DISC or another, then please think about the wider use and the wider usefulness of this in your business, and the benefit that it is to your employees, the benefit is to you, and the productivity, collaboration, happiness, and all of those things, and the results that you're going to get in your business because people actually are working together better. So I hope that makes sense. Please come and ask me if you have any questions about DISC profiling or talent dynamics. Then I can answer anything you want to ask about that, and we can set up a meeting to discuss your team and what would be right for your team should you want to find out more about DISC and behavioural assessments. Okay, but please remember, not just the one. Thanks. Okay, have a wonderful day, and I will speak to you all next week. Bye-bye.